stick. It's the whole stick higher. That works better. Yeah, that's good.
All right.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes, so I will be giving a class on Govardhan Lila. Obviously, you all have heard this pastime before, but because this is a transcendental pastime, it's ever fresh, right? It doesn't matter how many times you hear it, it feels fresh every time. So it's good. Okay. So firstly, I just want to thank Nilmani Prabhu for giving me this opportunity to speak. I have no qualification to give this class on this kind of confidential topics, but it's just for my own purification. If you all, hear any mistakes, please let me know. Please correct me, and please give me your blessings. Thank you. So this Govardhan Leela is covered in the Bhagavatam, chapters 24 through 27 of the 10th canto. And then Govardhan Puja is one of the most celebrated festivals within our within like Hinduism in general, actually. So it's you can see everywhere, right? Like there's a lot of kind of monuments to this pastime. I was in Vrindavan last year. Then there's I forget the name of the temple, but I think it's called Prem Mandir. It's near to the ISKCON Vrindavan temple, and they have this massive like monument to Govardhan Leela. It's really beautiful. So and then this pastime kind of illustrates the reciprocation between Krishna and his loving devotees. So throughout history, we see that this, and throughout Bhagavatam and Mahabharata, and like we see instances of where Krishna reciprocates with his devotees in their times of crisis. And then you can see, from the story of the Pandavas, all the difficulties that they went through in their lives, so many difficulties, but every single time, Krishna was there to help them, support them. And then again, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, right? Arjuna had that moment of weakness. He didn't know what to do. He was confused and he was trembling. He had no, he didn't. And then Krishna was there to give him guidance and to give him that strength to go on and fight. And then another instance from Bhagavatam is the Dhruv Maharaj. So we know the story of Dhruv Maharaj, right? He wanted to sit on his father's lap, and his stepmother told him, "No, you're not qualified. You don't have the right to sit on your father's lap. If you want to sit on his lap, you need to take birth again from my womb, and then you'll be qualified." Because she was the favorite of the king, and this made him terribly upset. He left home, as we know. He spoke to his mother. She told him, "Yes, your mother, his stepmother is correct. Like you need to. The only solution I can give you is that you go and worship Lord Vishnu, and then Lord Vishnu will give you what you desire." He left home. He met Narad Muni. Narad Muni kind of asked him to shrug off what had happened, but he was determined. And then Narad Muni gave him the mantra to speak. So we can see that eventually Dhruv Maharaj, after performing so many austerities in the forest, he eventually was blessed by Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu came down on his carrier Garuda and gave him the blessing of his presence. So this story is no different, right? The story of Govardhan Leela. It's showing the situation of devotees in the times of crisis and how Krishna always comes to the rescue of his devotees. So we'll just say the invocation prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyanantina Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Okay, so starting with this pastime. So one day, Maharaj Nanda and the Gopas, the cowherdmen, they were preparing a sacrifice for Lord Indra. And there was a lot of preparations going on. While these preparations were going on, Lord Krishna came up. He was curious. He saw what was going on, and he came up to Nanda Maharaj, and he asked him, what are you doing, my dear father? What are all these preparations? Why, what sacrifice are you preparing for? So initially, Nanda Maharaj was kind of reluctant to answer Lord Krishna's questions, right? But after repeated questioning, Lord Krishna is saying, my dear father, you should not really be hiding things from your own relatives. And then in this way, he was pleading with Nanda Maharaj to explain the purpose of the sacrifice. So then, after being prompted repeatedly, Nanda Maharaj began to explain to Lord Krishna that this, we depend on rains for our subsistence, right? And Indra is the cause of those rains. And without rains, we can't get grains, we can't get vegetables, we can't perform this sacrifice to please Lord Indra. And by satisfying him, he will give us the rains that we need. Right? So upon hearing this, Lord Krishna started to explain to, my dear father, people only experience happiness, distress, enjoyment, disease, like all these reactions in their life due to their karma only, not because of sacrifice performed for Indra. We don't, like he's explaining, that we don't get the rains due to that, due to performing the sacrifice, because Indra is one of the demigods. He's like in the sort of servant to the Supreme Lord. So he's just performing his duty that he's been given. So he's going to do that anyway, regardless. There's no need for us to sort of bribe him to make him give us the rains. We're going to get the rains regardless, based on our karmic reaction. So in this way, Lord Krishna is giving this karma mimamsa philosophy to his father, and and the reason, essentially in Bhagavad Gita, the main conclusion is that we should perform bhakti, but in this instance, or in this circumstance, Krishna chose to explain in this sort of karma mimamsa philosophy because he wanted to humble Indra. So Krishna, further explained that instead of worshipping Lord Indra, we should actually worship Govardhan Hill, because Govardhan Hill is giving us so many things, like it's giving us the grasses for which the cows can eat. We're getting fruits and roots and different vegetables, and then we have there are caves in Govardhan where we can enjoy. So there's so many things that Govardhan Hill is giving us that instead of worshipping Lord, actually do a puja or sacrifice to worship Govardhan Hill. So through all of this explanation and convincing the Nanda Maharaj and the Gopas or the cowherdmen, they agreed. Although they were not really that convinced that this is what we should do. Actually, at first, his father said, "Well, let's just do both, right? Let's do the sacrifice for Indra, and then we'll also do a Govardhan puja, right?" But Krishna insisted, no. Instead, we should just do the Govardhan puja. We should not do the Indra sacrifice. And obviously, he had his motives for doing that, right? He wanted to humble Indra. So he explained that let's do this Govardhan puja. Let's give charity to Brahmanas, the Vrajavasis. Let's have a big feast and offering for Giriraj. And so they agreed, and then they started to do the preparations for the puja. So all the preparations were made. A great sacrifice was performed as Krishna had proposed. Right, so many food offerings were prepared. Many mantras were being sung by the Brahmanas. The cows were actually worshipped as well. The Brahmanas performed the rituals. At the same time, the gopis were singing. And then, as all of a sudden, Lord Krishna assumed a huge form in the form of Giriraj above, like as you can see in the picture, above Govardhan Hill. And he declared, like, I am Govardhan Mountain, right? Really loud. Everyone could see that this gigantic form was above Govardhan. And then he proceeded to consume all of the offerings that had been prepared. And there was so many offerings, but he consumed all of them. And then once he was finished, he said, I want more, Aniyo, right? So so then they started preparing more, and then they kept bringing more and more offerings. And when everything had run out, he was still hungry. He still wanted more, but then because the villages, they all had left was some tulsi leaves, they offered those. And after taking the tulsi leaves, Giriraj was full, right? And then finally, when all the offerings had been consumed by Giriraj, magically, all of a sudden, he brought all of those offerings reappeared on the hill. So, but now they had become prasadam, or mercy of the Lord, and they could be enjoyed or be honored by the devotees. So this Govardhan Puja every year, like we celebrated yesterday, has been become a kind of staple festival every year since. They also did a parikrama. So, and then as we know, right? Anyone who's been to Vrindavan, who's been to Govardhan, you see thousands of people every day performing Govardhan parikrama. Now, after seeing all this, everyone was really, really happy and overjoyed except one person. Who is that? Indra, right? So Indra, he was furious with Lord Krishna and the Vrajavasis. Right? So he said, they have become proud and they have surrendered to an ordinary boy, Krishna, right? So even Indra, king of heaven, he's he's a servant of Lord Krishna, But I'll just let you stop. So he's a servant of Krishna, but he didn't realize that Lord Krishna is even God himself. He had become so puffed up that he forgot who the Supreme Lord was. So he's insulting him here, right? So he says, Vachalam Balisam Stabdam Agyam Panditamanenam Krishna Madhyam Upashrita Gopame Chakra Apriyam. So he's saying, like, essentially, he's saying Krishna is foolish, is a foolish boy, he's arrogant, he's just an over talkative child. And that word avoided there, right? Madhyam, that means somebody who human dies, right? At the end of his material life. So in the same way, he's saying that Krishna is Madhyam, right? So it's very insulting words that Indra said about Krishna. And and actually, the Brajavasis were not, their intent was not to insult Indra, right? They just wanted to please. If you want to think of it, basically destroy, accompany you on my elephant, a Ravata. So I'm just basically repeating what he said. But what he mentions in his class is that when the conditioned souls, they have a desire for respect in general. And when this desire increases, if they don't get that respect that they want, right, they become so puffed up like Indra had become. They actually, if they don't get that respect, they want to destroy those who don't give him that respect. So therefore, Indra wanted to destroy the Vrajvasis and the entire Vrindavan. And then, we know from Siksastakam, right? There's the verse, right? Kinadapi Sunisena, Darodapi Suhishnana, Manina Manadena, Kitaniya Sadahari. So in this, Lord Chaitanya is trying to teach us that, we should not want to have respect, right? We should respect all others, but we should not be kind of desiring respect for ourselves. So Vrindavan was at this point becoming inundated with rain, right? Very powerful rains. Basically, there was like thick columns of rain being poured down onto Vrindavan. It was like continuous repeated thunderbolts, thunder, wind, like just think of like the worst kind of hurricane. Just I don't know what the categories of hurricanes are, but think of like category 5 or whatever hurricane coming through your town, and this was coming. So all of the Brajavasis, they were like in great distress, and even the cows, they were protecting their calves. Like their calves are kind of crawling on between their legs, and they were like using the folds of the mother's skin to be protected. So all of the Brajavasis, including the cows, they were in great distress, and they all went to Krishna for relief, right, to give protection. So Krishna he could not, obviously he does not like to see his devotees in distress. He could not bear the suffering that they were going through. And he realized that this is the work of Indra. Right? He knew, this is obviously his plan all along, but he realized Indra, being the king of heaven, he was upset, and then he had started causing this havoc. And Krishna immediately tied his belt and then ran towards Govardhan. And then there's this verse from Bhagavatam, which I'll read. Tasman mat charanam gaushtam manatham mat parigraham gopaya swatma yogena soyam me vrata ahita. I must therefore protect the cowherd community by my transcendental potency, for I am their shelter. I am their master, and indeed they are my own family. After all, I have taken a vow to protect my devotees. I forgot to mention, when Krishna ran towards Govardhan, not a single drop of water actually landed on him. So that's his potency. So Krishna arrived at Govardhan, and he proceeded to lift the Govardhan mountain with his left hand, his left pinky finger, his little finger, and he asked. So he lifted it up, and then he asked other Brajavasis, "Come under, and you'll be protected." He said, "Bring all your belongings, your valuables, bring your cows and yourselves, and there's plenty of space here. So please come." So all the Brajvasis proceeded to come under the mountain. And some of the Brajvasis, the cowherd men, they wanted to help. So they said they took their sticks and they're trying to support Lord Krishna by pushing up the hill with their sticks. Obviously, they're having no effect, but that was their love for Krishna and they wanted to help. And the Brajvasis, they are actually very simple and sweet individuals, so they only wanted to please Krishna. So Krishna, he took full charge, right, to protect his devotees. And the lesson here, obviously, is we learn that if we are in our times of crisis, if we just follow Lord Krishna's instructions, we become his devotee. We just depend on him in all circumstances. He will definitely take care to protect us. Not funny, but side story here. I was just speaking to one Mataji. She came to the temple yesterday, first time I met her. And she told me that she doesn't come here very often, but she told me that one time somebody had come to actually try to kill her. So they had entered her house. They had actually put like plastic down on the floor just to kind of as a preemptive thing because something bad would happen. And then as the person was trying to cut, kill, hurt her with the knife, she shouted Krishna. So I was listening to this story, it's quite amazing. And then she said that the person's hands started shaking. And he dropped the knife and then he started crying. And then, so this is real. Like if you depend on Krishna, you call out for him in your time of need. Hopefully, nothing like this ever happens to anyone. But I'm just saying, this is what I heard, and it's proof, right? Krishna always protects his devotees. So there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita. Ananyas chintayanto mam yajana pariyapasate tesham nityapyuktanam yogakshema vahamyaham. So Krishna says here that if those who worship him with devotion, meditating on his transcendental form, to them he carries what they lack and preserves what they have. In this way, Krishna always protects his devotees. Also, and I've mentioned the second bullet there. So, Govardhan Hill from the top, Lord Krishna summoned the top. So Sudarshan, so any of those lightning bolts and heavy hailstones and rain that were falling on the top did not do any damage at all to Govardhan, because Sudarshan Chakra was protecting from the top. And then one may think, okay, well, if all the rain is kind of pouring down and falling off the side of Govardhan, what's stopping it from just coming under the hill and just flooding the whole hill underneath, and people impacting the people who were standing there under the hill? So the solution for that was Lord Krishna summoned Ananta Shesha, right, to coil around Govardhan at the bottom, and therefore kind of create a protective barrier around the hill. So in that way, all the rain didn't come under the hill, and Govardhan was also protected from the top. Okay, so now everyone's under the hill. They're all being protected, and Krishna is standing there holding up the hill. And now a festival of sorts is taking place under the hill. So in general, in normal times, the Gopas enjoy with Krishna during the day, and the Gopis enjoy with Krishna during the night. But during the night, Gopas are feeling separation from Krishna, and during the day, the Gopis are feeling separation from Krishna. So at any given point in time, somebody is feeling separation from the Lord, and somebody is having association. So what Krishna wanted to do was give full association to his devotees. And in this way, so while he was holding up the hill, he was basically reciprocating with everyone, right, in all the different rasas. With all, like his mother and everyone who's, the elderly, like Brajvasis, the Vatsalya rasa, he was fully enjoying with them. Then the Gopis in Madhurya rasa, and then with the Gopas, everyone, right, in every different rasa that they wanted to enjoy with Lord Krishna, they were doing that fully, 24/7 for 7 days and 7 nights straight. And only Krishna can do this, right? We can only give one attention to one person at a time, right? But Lord Krishna's power is that he can everyone thought that he's just looking at them, he's engaging with them only, right? So that was a kind of amazing thing that Krishna was able to do. So everyone is fully like enjoying, and there was many different interactions going on. For example, Mother Yashoda, she actually, she started to become concerned. She said, you stopped Indra Puja, and you've caused Indra to become angry. And then you've caused all these problems now, right? So now she said, now you have to hold this mountain up on your finger, and it must be very heavy for you. So she was quite, upset with Krishna because of him, all of this happened. And then one of the Gopas, Vatu, I think his name was, he said that, no, this actually Krishna is not holding up this mountain. It's actually my yogic powers, with the power of my mantras. That's the reason this mountain is being held up. It's not really because of Krishna. So he's trying to say, oh, it's actually me. And then actually Krishna also said, no, I'm not feeling anything. This Govardhan is floating on its own. I'm not feeling anything on my finger. I'm not feeling any weight or anything. I'm not feeling any pain or stress. So Mother Yashoda hearing all this, she chastised Batu and said, stop this nonsense, right? And then Lord Krishna, he tried to defend his friend Batu and said, that don't chastise him. He's just trying to encourage you. So, and then Mother Yashoda told Krishna, look, you should eat something now. You must be feeling very hungry. And then Bhakti replied that, yes, both of us, both Krishna and I we should eat something now. So he was trying to get some prasadam from Mother Yashoda. Then another interaction happened where Krishna was told, don't play the flute while you're standing there holding Govardhan, because if he plays the flute, Giriraj will become so enchanted that Giriraj will actually start to melt. Right? So, and if Giriraj melts, then they're all in trouble. So Krishna was told, don't play the flute. And then somebody else told him, told Radharani to not look at Krishna, because he would become sort of agitated, right? Because he loves Radharani so much that if he sees Radharani, he would become restless and his mind would become agitated and he wouldn't be able to properly hold up Govardhan and he would become inattentive. So in this way, a lot of interactions, beautiful interactions were taking place between Krishna and the different various devotees, and this was going on and on for 7 days. In Bhagavatam, this is not these kinds of small pastimes are not explained. These are from other scriptures. I think Gopal, Champu, and like other ones. So. All right. So after 7 days, 7 nights, Indra, he became just fatigued. All the Samvartaka clouds, they had lost all of their water, right? They just run dry. And Indra realized his mistake. He realized that, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he had made a grave mistake, and he was feeling really foolish and guilty about what had happened. The clouds, Samvartaka clouds, came back to Indra and said, we have no water left, there's nothing we can do anymore. So Indra called back all the clouds, so all the clouds started to clear up. And everything stopped, all the rain stopped, and then Krishna, once everyone realized everything was clear, he told all the Vrajvasis, look, now everything stopped, you can go back to your homes, please leave. But they had been enjoying this constant interaction, loving rasas with Lord Krishna for the last 7 days, 7 nights. They didn't want it to end. They were enjoying so much with Krishna, right? So he was telling them go back, but they were like, no, we don't want to go. We want to stay here with you. Right? Eventually, he convinced them to go back to their homes. So after, so actually when Krishna was about to put the Govardhan hill back on the ground, some of the Gopas said, look, we'll help you. So what they did was they tried to, so he said, okay, fine, you can help me. And then he slightly shifted the weight of Govardhan towards where they were standing, where their sticks were holding up, and they realized they couldn't support Govardhan by themselves. So then they panicked and they ran out from under the hill and came out. And Krishna smiled and he brought Govardhan hill back down to the ground and placed it back in its original position. So now Krishna came out the devotees or the Vrajvasis congratulated Krishna. All the elderly gopis came, and then including Mother Yashoda, and they're like saying, "Oh Krishna, your hand must be feeling so much pain." They were massaging his hand, and then all the gopas were embracing him. So he was feeling very, feeling very loved by the devotees. So after all this episode, some of the elder gopas came to Nanda Maharaj. Well, I'm running out of time. So some of the elder gopas came to Nanda Maharaj and asked him, like, Krishna, we have some doubts, right? Krishna has been doing so many amazing pastimes since he was born. He's killed so many demons, including Putna, Shaktasura, Vatsa, Bakasura, Kalya, and so on. And amazingly, like, we always feel spontaneous love for Krishna, and Krishna also for us. So they were saying, we have doubts, like it seems like Krishna must be some kind of god. So, and then Nanda Maharaj replied that actually, when Krishna was young, Garga Muni had come and performed the naming ceremony for Krishna, and he had explained to him that Krishna is actually empowered. Krishna took before Krishna appeared in this yuga, he had appeared in previous yugas in different colors like red and white and yellow, and in this yuga he has appeared as in a blackish color, and then that he is empowered by Lord Vishnu. So Gargamuni had explained all this to Nanda Maharaj, and Nanda Maharaj is now relaying this to the Gopas because of their question. In fact, the Vrindavan residents, they perform the Kevala Bhakti, right? And not Aishwarya Bhakti. Kevala Bhakti is like pure devotion for the Lord, and in the sense that you don't realize that He's God. But in Aishwarya Bhakti, you have that what's the word? Awe and reverence for the Lord, right? You know that He's the Supreme Lord. So these pure devotees, they worship the Lord in that way. So these Gopas, they had become a little bit upset with Nanda Maharaj because he had not disclosed this to them beforehand. So now, but after a while, they were pacified. So then now Krishna went back to Govardhan sometime later just to see if Govardhan was fine and there was no like damage. But actually, his intent was to give audience to Indra. Indra, meanwhile, had been feeling very guilty. He had gone to Lord Brahma to get guidance. Brahma himself had committed an offense to Lord Krishna in the Brahma Vimohana Leela, where he had hidden the Gopas from Lord Krishna. He had learned a lesson from that. So he advised Indra to beg forgiveness from Lord Krishna. But he said, don't go alone. You must take Surabhi, right, mother cow. And why did he give that recommendation or suggestion? Because Surabhi is a dear devotee of Lord Krishna, and Krishna is naturally loves the cows. So when a devotee makes a recommendation on behalf of someone, Lord Krishna will listen. In that way, we say that we should only go to Krishna. We can't go to Krishna directly. We can only go through his pure devotee. So this way, Brahma recommended go through, take Surabhi with you, and then you have a better chance of being forgiven by Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna, Indra and Surabhi appeared before Krishna, and Indra fell at the feet. He put his helmet at the feet of Lord Krishna, and he begged forgiveness, and he he made many prayers, right? He said, "I've been a fool, right? I was puffed up and blinded by my pride, and I thought I was so powerful and so on, and because of that, I lost all my senses. God, you are the supreme personality of Godhead," and he begged forgiveness in this way. And but actually, Indra was somewhat also trying to avoid punishment. So he's not like a pure devotee. Once if they commit a mistake, they want to receive that punishment so they don't make it again, right? But Indra, in this case, he was fearful of being punished, so he was making these prayers to Krishna. Um, and then, as we know, actually, Indra didn't really learn his lesson because there's another pastime that happens slightly later. Does anyone remember, or we can point out which one? So he had gone to the heavenly planets to take the Parijata tree, and then that had angered Krishna, and then Indra wanted to fight Krishna over that as well. So he didn't actually learn his lesson fully, but Krishna forgave him, and then like there was a bathing ceremony performed at Surabhi. Glorified Lord Krishna and said like, let's have a bathing ceremony for Lord Krishna, and then this bathing ceremony happened. All the demigods came down to observe this bathing ceremony. And then meanwhile, the Gopas who had been playing with Krishna just beforehand witnessed what had happened. And then when they went back and reported to their elders that they had seen a thousand-eyed being, Lord Indra has 1,000 eyes, and then they saw a person with 4 heads, Brahma, and all different demigods, and then they had been bowing down to Lord Krishna. All these, the elders didn't believe them, like, oh, these kids are just foolish, right? They have wild imagination, so they didn't really believe what the Gopas were telling them. So that's the pastime. So I'll just end here. Like as I said, every year, many millions of people go to Govardhan. They perform parikrama. If you get a chance, please go there. I think it takes about 7 hours if you walk around. I don't remember how many kilometers, 20 something, 30 kilometers. 21. Okay. And as Shamkun explained last week in his class when he was explaining about Shamkun, Radhakund, Govardhan is actually one of the, probably like just after Radhakund, the most holiest place in the entire creation. So if you talk about this material universe accounts for 1/4 of creation, and then the rest, the other 3/4 is spiritual, and all of that. Govardhan is the second most holiest place. So try to go there or do the parikrama. Around parikrama, there's so many holy sites, including Radhakund, Shamkun, and many other places. In the interest of time, I'll stop. I think I'm way over time. But thank you for listening. Hare Krishna.